Welcome to the Rotary Big Ideas podcast, where we celebrate big ideas that are sparking positive change in Ottawa and around the world. I'm your host, Bashir Bastien, and on each episode, we meet a change maker and their big idea.
And that's my passion. Every time somebody follows my suggestions, I know that I am extending their life. I know that I am saving lives.
Today, I'm speaking with Jean-Francois, organizational development practitioner, consultant, mediator, and coach with 45 plus years of experience. He develops and delivers courses in conflict resolution, communication, customer service, process improvement, and leadership and management skills. He is an active member of the Rotary Club of West Ottawa. His latest book is titled Aging Safely in the Home of Your Choice. Thank you for being with us today. Jean-Francois, what is your big idea?
The big idea is linked to the fact that sadly, as we get older, and I'm one of those, things are not as flexible and as easy as they were when we were 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s. And so falls occur. And sadly, more than 80% of the hospitalization of seniors in Canada certainly is linked to falls in the home, regardless of the style of the home or type of home, as well as the surrounding area of the home. And so my big idea was to identify what are those typical tripping hazards that are in our homes. And so the idea was to put together a resource book that would help seniors to identify room by room, inside, and of course the outside of their living dwelling area, these tripping hazards, these things that can cause falls and sadly may lead to hospitalization.
That is beautiful. One thing I like to ask our guests on this podcast is it's a challenge. Are you able to share your big idea in 5 words or less?
Live in your home safely for as long as you can.
That's a little more than 5, but we'll take it. Thank you. So I like that, you've been working with seniors. So my question for you is, how does Rotary fit in your vision?
I think that generally speaking, one of the things that, especially, with this particular project of big ideas, maybe when other members of the Rotary community hear about what's possible, then I would certainly love to be able to present, like I do already presentations. I go to various seniors groups in the area. I've been to different places across Canada. I provide them with a couple of dozen ideas of things they can do when they go home. And most of them don't cost anything. It's just doing things differently. For instance, one of the big challenge for seniors is as we grow older, then they're living in their own home and in their kitchen, they sometimes use a stepladder to go up steps to get something that is higher, or have to bend over to pick up something that's in the lower shelf. And one of the things that I did with my mom when I took care of her for 15 years is I identified that, because I saw her one day going up the steps, and I really said, no, mother, what is it you want? And then so what I did is then with her, I did a total inventory of her kitchen, all the cupboards, all the pantry, and we divided it into 3 categories: things that she was using frequently, daily, weekly, monthly; things that she only used when we went, when the rest of the kids were showing up, where the bigger pots and the bigger bowls and the bigger whatever, those were, left higher up. And then the third category was things that she wasn't using anymore. A funny thing is that in doing this inventory, I found her waffle iron that she got when she married in 1935. It didn't even have any electrical plugs, but it took a lot of space on the shelf. And so that's just one example. So that she didn't have to go up and she didn't have to bend over. And the second thing is that she lived in the house with her companion. So that's two people. So I changed a lot of her cooking utensils, the pots and pans. She had these big, heavy metal saucepans and everything, which are beautiful and they're nice, but they weigh a lot they're very heavy. So I bought her some things that were more smaller that she could use and not have to struggle with the weight, or the lady that lived with her would not have to struggle with. So these are examples for all the rooms in the house. Things like a dark area, there should be a motion sensor lights. The number two cause of falling is too much furniture in a room. It's kind of a maze. And often they have to walk into the room to turn the lights on at night. So I suggest to put little timers on lights so that there's no dark areas, so that they won't trip and they won't fall. And handrails and like I said, motion sensor light in dark areas where there is no electricity. Sometimes at the bottom of the stairs or the top of the stairs, there's no lights there. So these things, when you get within a meter of them, they light up. So these are examples and I hope to be able to share with people. And one of the things is that sadly, we tend to deny that we are getting older, but resistance is futile, as the board would say. We will age whether we like it. Doesn't matter how much creamy you put in your face and how much Botox you put on your skin. We will age. And so the idea is to acknowledge that things change as we grow older and to adapt before chaos, before an incident.
That's perfect. So if I would summarize, I would say acknowledge that you're getting old, regardless of what you do. So from that acknowledgement, then you can get the tools to help you live safely in your home.
Yeah. Because of my background as an organizational development practitioner, I developed 9 tools that I put in the book to help as the person is reading the book, then they can follow the steps. There's always an example of the tool, and at the end of the book are blank tools that they can fill out. And if sometimes people prefer not to do it themselves, then I'm also trained by Age Safe Canada to do an audit of a home. So I can go into a home and I can check everything, every single room in the home, as well as the outside, and then provide a written report of the areas that need to be addressed. And when there's something that's very urgent, I tell them right there and then, like an extension cord that goes one side of the room to the other that it's so easy to trip on, or area rugs that do not have a rubber or undercoating that are slippery. So when I see these things, I tell them right there. Otherwise, things that they can still live with, I still write it up in my report and then send them the report with some suggestions of what they can do to eliminate or mitigate those hazards.
That is beautiful. I do have one question.
Sure.
It seems as though all of your experience are pretty much based here in Canada and perhaps the US because it's the same. So how would that be different in a country like let's say Haiti, where they don't have electricity 24/7 in the
A
home?
lot of the tools that I suggest are battery operated just because of that. Like when my mother, the last 5 years, she came and lived with me. And one night I was awakened by her screaming. And so I got up. I was in the basement and she was on the main floor. And I went to go up, and then there was no electricity. So I had a flashlight on my night table. So I went upstairs, and she needed to go to the bathroom, but there was no lights. She couldn't see. And so I helped her out. But then after that, I put in her room, in the hallway, and in the bathroom, and even to the kitchen, these motion sensor lights that were battery operated. So for areas where electricity is sparse, then a lot of these tools can happen. Other things are more things that are on the floor that, and it's funny because even though I wrote that for seniors, there's over 200 ideas in the book. Every single suggestion and ideas fits in any home of any age person. And that's why I think that's the biggest problem is our building codes in Canada and United States seem to have forgotten that all these like bars in the bathroom, in the tub, that's useful for any age. I mean, I've had ladies tell me that when they're pregnant, they need something to hand on. And children, I was actually speaking to somebody last week, and they were saying that their kids have fallen many times in the tub while they were getting washed and whatever. So a lot of these things, I wrote them for seniors because that's where my passion is, but they fit for any age group.
So now, Rotary, we are a big organization. How can the Rotary Club help you?
I think everybody, regardless of their age, every member of Rotary, North America, worldwide, they would benefit from a presentation where I could present, and I can do it in both English and French, some of the highlights that are in my book. And if they want to buy the book, that's fine. But if I can help people be safer in their home, and that's my passion. Every time somebody follows my suggestions, I know that I am extending their life. I know that I am saving lives. And so I think that presenting that to a wider audience of Rotary members, then it would be beneficial for them to realize that it doesn't matter if you're in your 20s or if you're in your 80s or 90s. All these suggestions can make your life easier day in, day out.
That's great. So for those of you watching this podcast, I have one suggestion. Actually, it's not a suggestion, it's just a call to action. Get yourself a copy of Jean-Francois's book. So get a copy of the book in English or in French. And we've reached the end of this podcast. I had to do a little sales speech. This is not part of the podcast, by the way. I hope I don't get cut out by the director. It was a pleasure having you here with us today, Jean-Francois. We hope to see you again. I don't know, we had our 5 keywords, which was a bit more. So live in your home safely. Is that correct? Did I say that correctly?
Live in your home safely for as long as you can.
Okay, so I get a 7 out of 10 for this one. Thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure chatting with you, and hopefully we get to see you again. And I can't wait to go to one of your presentations and learn even more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening and watching. And keep in mind, if you want to make a difference or have a big idea to help others, Rotary is a great organization to connect with and become part of. Check us out. Until next time, then, when I ask, what's your big idea?